Hi, I'm Joe Finsternis, and tonight I'll be talking to you about a movie called Casshern. Now, the first thing you need to know about this film is that it is Japanese with English subtitles, so if you don't like reading subtitles while watching movies, you might want to skip this one. So the story here takes place in a dystopian future where Europe and Asia have been at war for decades, and now that's finally coming to a close, but the land has sort of been torn apart at this point, and it's filled with dirt and ashes and smoke and industrial machinery, and it doesn't really look like the type of place you would want to live in. So there's this scientist who wants to get funding from the government to do this research on neocells, which in the movie are basically like super stem cells. They can rejuvenate the human body and possibly put a stop to death. But the government refuses to pay him, and there's a corporation that steps forward which is willing to give him the funding that he needs. And the scientist has this wife who is extremely sick and close to dying, so that's his key motivation for it. But it turns out that the corporation that's paying him wants to use these neocells for their own selfish gain, and something ends up going horribly wrong, and the company ends up creating this race of superhuman mutants that are bent on the annihilation of humanity. So, meanwhile, the scientist has this son named Tetsuya who went off to war to serve his country. He ended up dying on the battlefield, and, as soon as he gets his body, the scientist carries him into the pool of neocells and brings him back to life. And Tetsuya becomes Casshern, which is the name of a guardian angel, and it becomes his job to fight these mutants and save mankind from destruction. So this is a really interesting movie to look at, first of all. There's a lot of CGI in it, and it doesn't look very realistic, but it does have an aesthetically pleasing sort of value to it. It looks like something right out of a comic book. Also, there's a fight scene which takes place between Casshern and the leader of the mutants, and it looks like something straight out of an anime cartoon, which makes sense because I found out after watching the film that it was based on an anime from the 70s. So even though I haven't watched that, I think I can safely say that Casshern is one of the best live-action movies based on an animated show. And it has this really great sort of emotional value to it. Early on in the film, when Tetsuya's parents find out that he died serving his country, the way that they handled that and the way it sort of played out was so powerful. It actually managed to get a couple of tears out of me, I'm not gonna lie. And unlike the movie Moron, I can admit to that because I am a real man. So there was also one point in the film where it straight up became an art house movie for a few minutes. There was this scene that switched from live action to stop motion animation, and then the scene which followed that was completely black and white, so that was kind of interesting. I do have one sort of complaint to make about the movie, and it's that there's this one character in it who is one of the mutants, and he's supposed to be mute, so he just communicates through grunts, and the way that the actor plays it just feels very over the top and sort of silly. He talks to his master like and I'm honestly wondering, was that supposed to be funny? Because when I was watching it in the movie, it didn't feel amusing. It was just kind of awkward and dumb. If you're gonna have a mute character in this dark dystopian future science fiction world, then I think he should be played with a little more subtlety. But if he is supposed to be the comic relief, then that's fine, but he should take a note from Harpo Marx and actually do something funny instead of just standing there going, it's just terrible. But if he sounds like the kind of character that's going to get on your nerves, don't worry. He only has a couple of scenes in the film that don't last very long. He's not like Jar Jar Binks, where they practically make him the star of the show. So yeah, other than that, I thought that Casshern was a really cool movie overall. If you're into these sort of dystopian future movies, then you should check it out. It isn't one of the best that I've seen, but it is one of the most interesting, if that makes sense. And of course you'll have to get past the fact that it has subtitles as well. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I hope you all have a good one.